Thank you very much, dear Tara, and thank you for asking me to say a little bit about team-based right livelihood and intensity. There was a sort of starting point for me which feels important to acknowledge, which is that my experience of team-based right livelihood has been a joy and a privilege and a source of deep, deep happiness. And I also know that that's not true for everyone. So it just felt important to find a way for me to embrace that big picture and to not push that away. And it just, I suppose it just really reminds me about the importance of humility, because it can't be that we have, or I have, a perfect white lotus of team-based right livelihood practice and the wounded soldiers get pushed to the outskirts. So I just think, yeah, if I can remember that thing about humility and humanity, yeah, that really helps me to relax and then move forward. So 10 minutes, what can you say? I thought I could try and say 3 things. The first thing is about intensity. With team-based right livelihood, I'm sure we all know it's like it comes instantly, it's instant intensity. I think if you put 3 Buddhists in a room with a shared project, you've just got it, haven't you, straight away. So practice is more working with that intensity, and there's a lot that we could say about that. But for me it's been a lifesaver, because one of my temperamental tendencies is sloth. So I mean, I work really hard, but I've got a spiritual sloth tendency. And right livelihood and Sangha contact, it just galvanizes and lifts everything and brightens it up, doesn't it? So for people like myself, it's been absolutely vital. It's like a tonic, a bracing tonic, gets you off the couch, gets you thinking about what's really important, wakes you up. And I'm really grateful for that. When I joined Wintles 5 years ago and I stepped into that atmosphere, it really helped to rekindle my aspiration to join the order, and I'm really, really thankful for that. So for me, 2 things really stand out with my experience of team-based right livelihood, and they're both about really appreciating something. The first one is kinship. So I started to get a bit Jane Austen at this point, and I was thinking, the finest women of my acquaintance have been met in team-based right livelihood, but I've just met the most amazing, inspirational women. I've had the chance to be shoulder to shoulder with them. Their example is alive in my spiritual life, and even women in whose orbit I've been. Sometimes it's directly working with somebody, but sometimes it's being in somebody's orbit. And I think with work, what can happen is that it just seems to bring out a really huge raw energy, doesn't it? So all your motivations, all your volitions, and your values and inspiration come out in work. And I think what I can see there is that we're able to witness each other in a really deep, profound way. And I think that when I look around, for example, the team that I'm in at the moment, and I know that those women and I, wherever we go, wherever we end up, we will always have those bonds of understanding. And I think of the women that I worked with in the past, and I know that those bonds are strong and true and a source of inspiration to me. So kinship is really, really important. But the other thing that stands out is, in team-based right livelihood for me, is about atmosphere. And it started for me when I worked in the Evolution shop in Bethnal Green in the late 90s. And customers would come into our shop regularly and say, "Oh, it's really calm in here." And it wasn't just because the shop's a bit alternative or a bit sells Nag Champa incense. It was because they were stepping into an atmosphere. And it was there was a kindly awareness in that shop and in that team that people were, our customers when they came in, they were experiencing something, and it was actually a taste of Shraddha and beyond, actually. There was such a sublime harmony in the team that I worked with, and I think that experiences like that stay with you. You never forget them. It was very, very moving for me because I come from the East End of London where the shop was based, and so these were my people coming in. And it was actually like a really powerful communication of the Dharma. There was one experience that sort of touches it when I worked on, I was part of a cooking team at one of the big open retreats, one of the big LBC retreats, and that was a similar thing. It was like a peak experience. But our time in the shop, which was over a number of years, was steady and consistent. And it just really makes me think about the importance of spiritual atmosphere. And that's helpful because I'm, we're at Windhorse now and we're really busy. And I sit at my desk sometimes and think, I feel like I'm drowning in the task, with sort of busy office situation. And then I think, sometimes what is it? What am I doing and why am I doing it? And it's just that thing about, that's what we're doing, is we're trying to bring about an atmosphere. And when I remember that and I'm in touch with that, it just really makes my heart sing. And I know that I'm on the right path. So, so I'm just really, really grateful for that, for the opportunity to be part of that, to remember that. So I just was very appreciative as well to have the chance to share these thoughts with you. It's very strengthening, isn't it, to be able to communicate some of your values in front of other people. It's a really precious opportunity. I just thought I'd encourage us really to remember that Lotus, that team-based right livelihood Lotus. For me, it is beautiful. It is fragile, it's transient. It has to float on that sea of humility, that very human sea of humility. But it's absolutely worth cherishing. So thank you very much, and thank you for letting me do that.